room with us.
Obviously, as you talk about some of these things, the preservation of culture then is important. It's interesting to see then what would the department be doing? What kind of activities would you be entering into that looks at the preservation of these cultures so that 100 years from now, how many ever years from now, it's something that will be, essentially cast in stone that belongs to Kenya?
So we have what we call the DoDi project. It's basically the documentation of our cultural assets. We call it the Indigenous knowledge documentation and digitization of our cultures. So for us to have the presence and the existence of our indigenous knowledge and our herbal medical regimes, what we have currently in place under a program called NPI is mingling with the counties, the grassroots level people of this country, and seeing how we can document these cultures. So what we do is currently we are going around the counties. We have 3 different phases of this program. It's called the Natural Products Industry under the National Museums of Kenya. So we realize that, you see, with time, our cultures are being eroded, and our, what we were brought up with, the kind of norms, the kind of understanding we had as kids. Basically, our kids are not, enjoying what we enjoyed back then. So because thanks to social media, everything is changing. So we saw it fit, that we need to safeguard our cultures so that even 100 years from now, our grandkids who will be there will have an idea on our sorts of dances, our different drums, the isikuti, the danto of the Somalis. We have, different cuisines. We have, what do you call it, the Lamu cultures, so that it doesn't go with the wind.
Right.
Yeah.
So how are we preserving that? You're saying we're documenting and preserving it.
Yes.
What are we doing? Are we filming and storing?
Yes. So what we're doing is basically, we're currently implementing that project in 13 counties as phase 1. So we have 30 champions, youth champions in each county. So we hire these champions. Of course, we pay them a certain stipend, and we give them the tools needed to document this. We give them computers, we give them iPads, microphones. We give them, the tools that are needed to record this. So they go deep into the villages, mingle with the elders, mingle with the elderly, and gather this materials that are needed. And some of these are basically what we call the mitishamba. How do we come up with a certain herb that heals a headache, that heals? We have them turi, for instance, in Kilifi County. They're basically seeds that women take, and they don't get pregnant. They're somehow like a pill used that currently you can get from the supermarket. But now these women use, so when they want to get pregnant, they stop taking them to Rituri. So, but when they don't want kids anymore for a certain period, they use it. So such things, and there are many. There is a tree that actually exudes foam, like omo, like a parcel. So you just wash clothes. So such things. And documentation of this indigenous knowledge, we don't do it without the consent of the counties, without the users, the main,
community.
The community. So we are trying whatever we can to ensure that these cultures are not eroded. Our heritage seems to be dwindling. There are many sites that we have that, thanks to climate change, for instance, and the weather down in the coast, for Jesus, for instance, we have constructed a buffer wall, which has a beautiful garden. You should go check it out. That we have constructed there. This is basically to safeguard our heritage, and on the other hand, to safeguard our cultures. We've come up with this Indigenous Knowledge Bank.
Okay. Are you putting it in a museum somewhere? Like, for example, walk into a museum, maybe at the coast or any part of this country, and find them turi and a story around it, where you can see maybe leaves and the branches of this tree, or even the seed itself, and then there's some content around it, either video content or audio content or even written content around it.
Yes. So basically, our intellectual assets as a country are important to us. And after documenting this and putting them in a digital platform, as I was saying, on computers, we put them. Our plan is to put them in museums, and for the end user to use a digitized means to interact with the end product. So we're not just putting and storing them at the county level. This will be put in a system that is accessible. If you walk into Fort Jesus, for instance, if you walk into NMK right here in Nairobi, for instance, so it's a product that will create joy to the person who wants to see, okay, what do the people of Kilifi have that is outstanding, matters indigenous assets. Yeah, so basically what we're doing is digitizing. Then when you're in the comfort of your county, let's say, wherever you'll be visiting our museums, then you can just access the product.
Sure. We often talk about how, government operations would be aligned with education, for example. Some of the courses at the tertiary level have been ignored. There's a lot of focus and attention that is given to certain courses over others. And I see a direct relation here between the courses in the arts, between the courses in culture and preservation, and exactly what is being done at the department level. Imagine a situation whereby the preservation of culture that is being gotten into right now is then being led, or at least being contributed to, by those who've gone through a period of education and study in how to do it, in what it's about, and how they can add value to it. Do you think then that there would be more, or needs to be more, collaboration then between offices such as yourself, government as a whole, and the education sector, where unfortunately some of these courses are being dropped even at the university level?
Yeah. So, you see, culture cannot work in a shell. We cannot be an island and expect to safeguard our cultures as a country. So what we're currently doing is working with the Ministry, the State Department of Education, and also the State Department of Social Protection, and programs that reach the children of this country. The storytelling initiatives that we used to have back in the day with our great-grandfathers are more or less being brought to the school setting level. CBC, for instance, you find children having artsy, hobbies, and also artsy talents. So for us, it is more about the future generation, the children of tomorrow, that don't mingle with our cultures, have a platform through this program that we have with the State Department of Education, where we have plays, we have storytelling, and same thing for social protection. So culture decided, okay, we are adults, we have, we have the youth, but the people who deserve more, to be educated more on culture are the children. Because what they see right now is they click on social media. They find kids as young as 8 on social media, as young as 7, and they have iPads and they interact with the Western world. And they don't have that, that touch iPad thing, having our Kenyan culture story or our superheroes, and we have so many of them. So what we're trying to do is have a digital way that we can work together with education, social protection, to have a platform where our children can, access all these cultures and heritage and history that we have as a country.
the entire discussion around cultures guarantees that literally every community that we have in this country has something that they can be proud of, something that they live with and perhaps take for granted, but something which was passed down and which is of significance, and perhaps significant because maybe other parts of the country don't have it. For instance, someone like myself who grew up in Mombasa, you take the coral reefs for granted, but that's a heritage. You also take the beaches for granted. That's a heritage. We hear of the Kaya forest. You take it for granted. It's a heritage. The way people farm and the traditional foods that they grow, that's part of their heritage. Now comes my question. How do we ensure that individual communities in the counties that you speak of, one, understand this diversity and wealth of heritage that they actually have, and how it is that they, beyond the national government coming in, can also preserve, first of all, understand the value, appreciate it, then set into motion the process of ensuring that they conserve it so that this passing down, because they found it. Some of it is natural, so they found it. Now, their duty is to ensure that the generations that come after them have the same benefit that they did. Because one of the things we complain about is, especially for instance with our natural heritage like wildlife, that when there's poaching, the likelihood of future generations enjoying this gift that we actually found is minimized. How do you get counties to be able to understand, appreciate this, and to take that initial initiative to ensure that they play the role that you have introduced?
Okay. So we work with the county governments, all 47 of them. We have the COG, whereby we have committees, different committees, sports, whatnot, and we also have culture committee. So what we do is work from a top-down level, where now the county governments, the governor of that specific county now has and initiates cultural festivals in different counties. The CEC culture, and mostly it's tourism, culture, and different things, but usually there's always culture in every county. So they have their own different festivals, and we have what we call the Kenya Music and Cultural Festival that happens every year, and it is rotational. Last year we had it in Kitui County. This year we're going to have it in Makueni County. So there's a board that works on that aspect of the festival. So what happens is there's competition between the counties. So you as Lamu County, you have your festival. You as Turkana County, you have your festival. Rusinga, there's the Rusinga festival. There is the racing of the camel derby. So different counties have different assets, cultures, and festivals. So what happens, this now comes to a certain county, and you compete. So the winner usually gets an award, be it trophies, and some are sometimes monetary. But what happens is what we're trying to do is encourage those festivals not